up, guys? Welcome back to Bass Fishing Declassified, and in today's video we're about to talk about winter jerkbait fishing, what to target, where to look to try to help you guys go out this winter and catch more fish with a jerkbait.
All right, guys, so I'm here on Lake Chickamauga on the Tennessee River, and we've been getting a lot of rain lately, which means that they're definitely pulling current. You know, they're pulling some water through the system, which is always good. Even during the wintertime, I like to fish in the current here on the TVA. And one of the best baits to fish this time of year, current or no current, is going to be a jerkbait. You know, a suspending jerkbait like this one right here. This is actually a slow sinking jerkbait. This is the Mega Bass Vision 110 Junior. And this bait right here is such a great bait for cold water for a number of reasons. And one of my favorite situations for fishing a jerkbait has got to be these channel swing banks and bluff walls, and usually they're one and the same, because when a river channel kind of bends against the shoreline, a lot of times it'll cut a bluff wall, a steeper bank into that wall. But there's sometimes where you have a channel swing and it's not necessarily really bluffy, like right here. It's not super bluffy, it's not just a straight wall. It does have a little bit of slope to it, but it's still a great area because you've got a lot of current, and current is just a must. It really does improve the bite with a jerkbait. And so this is the bait that I like to use on this lake right now, Lake Chickamauga. The junior tends to get more bites, and the bait fish are pretty small on this lake in general. So that's what I like to throw. And when I'm throwing the junior, I like to throw it on spinning gear. So I've got the 610 medium heavy Versa Series spinning rod here, and I spool up with 8-pound test, like a long leader, to where if I make a long cast, I might be just getting to my braided line, braided main line. So I do a very long leader, probably about 100 feet of 8-pound Seaguar in VizX, and I really like doing that when I'm fishing a jerkbait. I don't like to have any braided line in the water in general. So that's what I like to fish with, and it's pretty darn simple. So anyways, guys, if you're looking for a great place to find fish during the winter time on a river system type lake like the TVA, definitely check out the bluffs and the channel swing banks with current on them.
Hey guys, Kyle Cordion here with Bass Fishing Declassified. Today's video, we're going to be talking about jerkbait fishing in the winter, what to target, where to look. So I'm going to give you some tips on what I try to look at. This is going to apply to lowland reservoirs and highland reservoirs anytime in the winter months. We're talking January, February, into March, back to December, things like that. So this is kind of a hard one to find, but when you find it, it is the juice. So real standard things to look for, you know, are the channel swing banks, bluff banks, things like that. This is a little bit off the beaten path, but this is going to be a secret thing to find. So go find bait anywhere on the lake, and then try to find an isolated brush pile in and around that bait. So this strategy is not going to have a ton of fish on it, but it's going to have your bigger fish on it. So what I'm trying to do is go up and down the creeks. A lot of times the fish are on the main river channel, sometimes they're in the secondary channels, but I'm looking for these one-off spots that have bait. It might be a flat, it might be sitting around the channel swing, and that brush pile is sitting right there by that bait. And it's isolated. There's not a ton of brush there, there's not a ton of standing timber there, and it can be standing timber, but it's got to be something isolated. So when I find that, and I've got the magic potion of all those put together, oh man, that's where I catch some of my biggest fish in the winter. And what I'm going to do, what jerkbait I'm going to throw at them, I'm pretty excited to share this with you guys. I may have made a video or two on it now, but this is the new Smithwick FX Rogue. The Pro Rogue was bigger than this. This is 4.5 inches, 3/8 ounce, cast a long way. But I'm going to take this, depending on the depth of that brush pile, I'm going to throw this on 10 to 12 pound Seaguar and VizX fluorocarbon, and that's going to get this thing down there 6 to 8 foot deep. So if the top of the brush pile is deeper than that, you can see this one, I've already modified that, and I've added a suspended lead strip to it, so it's going to help it get down a little bit more if I need to. So I'll probably have a couple of these rigged up. In the winter months, I've got a couple of colors that I love, and this one right here is called Violet Chartreuse. So it's got a little bit of a chartreuse belly on it. It's got a nice purple hue from the nose all the way back. And then the other color, this one's called Northern Lights. It's got a lot more purple to it. It's got a darker back, but still got that flash of chartreuse on the belly. These are gonna be the two colors that I recommend. You can get those over there at lurenet.com. They're only $8.99. And if you use my code Cordiana15, you get them for $7.64. You can't really beat a jerkbait out of the box that's gonna run this good and catch that many fish for that dollar price. But so again, I'm gonna find that isolated, it could be timber or brush pile. I'm gonna cast this beyond the structure for sure. And there may only be a few fish in that brush pile. There may only be one or two. But I'm gonna twitch this thing down and try to get it above the brush pile at first. That's the first thing I'm gonna try to do, is keep the bait up high. You got a lot better chance of catching that fish if that fish will rise up for the bait and eat it. If I'm not getting them to bite and I know they're in there, if I have forward facing sonar, I can see that they're in there, I will add weight or get my bait deeper, and I will go ahead and risk getting this thing hung up. These are pretty good at coming through brush piles and deflecting off timber, so don't be too afraid to go ahead and start twitching it down. And when you get into it, just keep twitching it. Don't slow reel or nothing, because that'll bring that bait like this and it'll expose those hooks to grab it. So just keep twitching it into that. And when it hits that log, it'll and come over it just like a square bill would a lot of times. You will get hung up some, but it will help. And a lot of times that's going to get that fish to bite that's sitting in that brush pile. Go ahead and risk your jerkbait if you want to catch that fish. But that's it. It's that simple. Or that's the strategy. Finding it's kind of hard, but trust me, you're going to catch some big ones if you do that. I like to throw all my jerk baits on a 7-foot medium action. This is a Kistler Helium. I'm going to throw it on a 7-to-1 gear ratio, Kistler Series 1 reel or chromium reel. And again, I told you 10 or 12 pound fluorocarbon. Hope this helps you guys catch more fish. Get out there in the winter, don't get too cold, and we'll see you
guys, and welcome back here to another edition of Bass Fishing Declassified. And I really appreciate you guys joining us for today's video. And we are in the middle of winter right now, and you know what that means. That means it is jerkbait season, guys. And I'm going to give you one of my top jerkbait tips for the middle of the winter to help you guys catch some more fish right now. Now, the first thing, if you guys have followed my other channel, Intuitive Angling, I do a lot of jerkbait videos there. And you know, if you're following that channel, that, and for me, the whole key in the wintertime when the water temperatures are the coldest is you have to fish a small jerkbait like this Megabass 110+1 Junior. This is quite a bit smaller than the traditional Megabass 110. It's a diminutive profile with the deeper lip on it. This thing will still get down to probably 8 or 9 feet on 6-pound test line. And it's one of my favorite jerkbaits to fish in the winter months. It's probably the one that I have on, tied on as much as anything. This and the Megabass X Nanahan +1. Now the key, guys, there's two main things that you want to remember when you're at the coldest water temperatures for jerkbait fishing. Number one is go to light line, because you're after the maximum depth. So I use 4 to 6 pound test Seaguar and VizX fluorocarbon line. If I'm fishing more open water where there's not a lot of cover to get snagged up in, I'll use the 4 pound test because I can cast it further and I can get it down about another foot deeper. But most of the time I'm using it on 6 pound test Seaguar and VizX fluorocarbon line with that Megabass whip snake spinning reel. Now it's pretty simple, guys. In fact, it's one of the most simple ways to catch them that you can have. It's all about fishing points. I prefer main lake points, and the point angle, it can be a steep point, it can be a flat point, it can be a 45-degree angle point. It doesn't really matter. But anytime you're fishing in the coldest weather time of the year, points are going to be your number one structure, regardless of your water clarity. Now, as a general rule of thumb, if the water visibility is over like 4 to 5 foot clarity, you're going to have those fish suspending out deeper off the ends of the points and sides. So if the water visibility is really clear, I like to get out there, you know, put my boat in really 20 to 30 foot of water, and I just fan cast all around the end of that point, the point end and sides, and target those fish that are suspended down there about 5 to 10 feet. Now, if the water visibility has a little bit of color to it, like if it's under 4 foot in visibility, I move up a little bit shallower and I try to pull those fish off the bottom that are in that 5 to 10 foot range. So ideally, say for example, if I've got 3 foot of water visibility, I look for those fish to be on the bottom in about 10 foot of water. So that's what I'll target. I'll try to throw that Megabass 110+1 Junior out there in 5 to 10 foot of water, and I try to keep it 2 or 3 feet off the bottom. And that's been a really productive way for me to catch them during the coldest winter months. But you guys can't go wrong. Get you a spinning rod, get you some 6 pound test fluorocarbon line, a downsized jerkbait like the Megabass 110+1 Junior, and just do nothing but fish points all day long. And it's an easy, effective way to catch them in the months of December, January, and February. So hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk later.
Okay, guys, so for my part of the video on the winter jerkbait fishing, I'm excited to kind of share about kind of what to target, where to look, and something I've not done in a while. But now I'll share how I can because of back to where I'm kind of at the part of the country. But guys, we're going to be talking about highland, lowland impoundments, and lakes with grass, submergent vegetation, okay? And when you hear about grass, hydrilla, milfoil, cootantail, you hear about crankbaits, lipless crankbait, you know, deep little wind, medium diving style crankbaits, you know. But guys, one of the kind of quiet deals out there is you don't hear about people talking about fishing with a jerkbait. Now up north you do, and even on the channel. You hear about Matt Steffen talking about fishing it. You've watched other probably guys, people on videos fishing grass, but it's always kind of been a northern thing, especially in the winter. Got my little one right here, he's bringing me something. Thanks, buddy. So guys, with the jerkbait, and I'm not tied to one jerkbait, you know, this right here is just this Pro Mixed Stick +1 that I got a, you know, right here, the Megabass Division 110+1. So guys, with the jerkbait, okay, on the grass, all right, of course, I always like to fish ditches, like kind of the ditches and the drains. But guys, also you can be looking for points, secondary points. You know, there's also channel swing rock banks that have the grass and, you know, kind of drops to the channel. But guys, you know, you always hear about fishing the edge of grass. And I know what me and Johnny got on a long time ago at Lake Ouachita. This was a March deal, but we actually got on it then later in January and kind of, you know, goes into February. But you always hear about guys ripping lipless crankbaits out of grass, hitting that edge of that grass with the crankbait. But guys, you can do the same thing with the jerkbait. So when you're fishing these edges, like I said, vision that point or that drain, and then kind of fishing that grass out there. If you've already graphed it, or if you have forward-facing sonar, you can see it, but you're fishing that edge. So you can even get on it and look at it with your 2D up front. Sometimes, I mean, it might be so clean you can maybe even see it, but I mean, I'm talking about deeper grass, right? But you're going to fish that edge with this. Now, when you're fishing points, I know some people throw it on the point, come down, and then hit the grass with this jerkbait and then rip it up. So when you hit it, you know you're twitching down, then you hit it and you feel it, then give it up jerk, and that thing will come right out, creating a reaction strike. And kind of a different strike, guys, that bass see. My little one's throwing baits now, but a different strike that bass don't see. When they see that lipless crankbait and they rip it up, it goes up and back down. When you give it that up jerk and it goes up, it kind of goes up there and suspends, and you know, depending on how you have it weighted, if it's slow or if it goes up or down, you know, I'm not going to get into those details, but it's just a different kind of bite that the bass have not seen. And we did it, like I said, I remember doing it a long time ago, and it was a blast of a trip that we had. Didn't catch any giants, okay. I know one of the trips I did it, it was at Lake Ouachita, guys, in the back half of a creek, one of those giant creeks on the lake, right? And I was staying in that grass, or staying in the creek ditch, and that grass was on the edge. I stayed in the middle of it, guys. This was with a boat with no mapping. I mean, I had the whole thing trailed because I went back there and took my time and trailed at this ditch. But you had the ditch, and I stayed in the middle. Okay, there was also timber. It was grass and timber, and I just threw it up there on those grass flats and brought it down the edge. Okay, and a lot of my bites was right when I was nicking the edge. Okay, it was a fun day. Maybe I can find that footage. It's somewhere. Okay, I got that footage somewhere in my files, because I mean, I remember it was like a walleye moment for me. But guys, it's been a while since I've done it because I've been fishing lakes without grass a lot and kind of doing different things. But something I know in the upcoming kind of couple weeks, months, I'm going to try to go out there and get some fish catches with it. So guys, just to share that with you, do not forget about the jerkbait if you're fishing a lake that has grass. Appreciate you guys, and come back and see us on Bass Fishing Declassified.